near the bakery, be down on your knees scrubbing the floor of the benches. Never ever let them catch you idle. And so we got away with it.
Yes.
We did this for, I think it must have been about the middle of March. I got very sick. The right hand side of my chest swelled up and it got bigger and bigger. We had these two doctors, but they weren't allowed to operate, and we couldn't go out to the Japanese surgeon unless we had 6 cases needing surgery. And I think I must have been about 2 months with this swelling of my chest getting bigger and bigger and bigger. One of my mates said to me, you'd make Marilyn Monroe look like a flat-chested boy. It was so big.
Oh.
And the pain got so bad that I wished I'd die. Anyhow, the day came when we had the 6 cases needing surgery, so out we marched to the Japanese doctors, which was just outside the camp. Now, you've never seen a doctor's surgery like it. The examination table was in the middle of the room. All the Japanese locals, there were, I suppose there were about 10 or a dozen of them, all on their knees round the wall. There were mums with toddlers, pregnant mums, mums with babes in arms, old men with hacking coughs from the mines. But they decided to take the prisoners first, and me first of all. So he laid me on the table, stretched me out, put a man on each limb, and I was waiting there for the needle, but he picked up a pair of surgical scissors and drove it in and just cut it open. I cried out, Jesus Christ! I think more from shock than in supplication to Christ. But I heard all those Japanese murmur, Christos, 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 Christos. I think they were praying for me. Anyway,
which part of your body?
The right hand side.
Yes, right there.
Later on, it was called a deep-seated ulcer of the right breast. Not in the lung, between the. Anyhow, when he opened it up, about a cupful of pus came out of it. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry because the pain that had just about been killing me for about 6 weeks just disappeared. And either cry with the shock of being cut open or laugh with the pain just disappeared.
The relief.
So he bound me up, told me not to let the American doctor see it. Went back and lay in my bed space, so relieved, and I fell into a beautiful, deep, warm sleep. Next thing I knew, I was being shaken awake. Nigger, you're not allowed to say nigger now, one of the cooks had forgotten his cigarettes, and I think he thought I'd committed suicide. And he said, what have you done? And I said, nigger, I said, I've been up to the Japanese surgeon. No. And he said, look, he said, my shirt was saturated in blood, my blanket was saturated in blood. He said, I'm going to take you up to the doctor. And I said, no, nigger, don't. He said, not to let the American doctor see it. And he said, be buggered to you. So he picked me up, carried me up to the doctor, and the doctor said, how do you feel, Edwards? Well, I said, sir, I feel pretty good. I said, I've got no more pain, and I drifted off into the most beautiful, deep, warm sleep. He said, you know what was happening, don't you? I said, no, sir. I said, I don't. He said, another 15 minutes, he said, you'd have been dead. Blood loss. Now, here's the question. Did he hear them praying for me and sent nigger, because nigger told me never before or never afterwards had he forgotten his cigarettes. So or was it just coincidence?
Yes, so, indeed.
It's a thing that will remain with me for the rest of the life. Whether I yelled out, or whether he heard me cry out his name,
yes.
But sent nigger to save me.
Yes.
But so got back to work. I was on light duties for a while. Then they had a Tego parade, 3 ranks, and we always had to count in Japanese. Ichi, san, shi, go, rock, shi, chach, ku, ju, ju, ich. And I was still pretty weak. I got into the front rank. Now, at the time, at 7, it was either Nana or Stichi. They were changing it, I'm not too sure from which way it was now, but I said it the wrong way. The guard, and we always had to belt out these numbers at the top of our voice. the guard, do it again, and I made the. I lost the plot. I did the same thing again. He pulled out his sword and went. I don't think he knew that I'd been operated on, but he couldn't have hit me cleaner in that wound. Down I went. The doctor stopped the blood flow, but anyway, got back to work. Then about, I think Germany was defeated in around about the end of June. By now, that allowed more planes to take part in the destruction of Japan. They were flying in from China, B-29s, to the eastern cities of Japan. Their flight path was right over our camp, and the RAF boys in the camp reckoned that there were 81 B-29s. You know how planes fly in groups of 3, and they reckon they only just guessed this because whenever there was an air raid, we all had to go into air raid shelters. So the noise that those planes made, the whole camp used to just throb. The air seemed to shake. So then the cooking officer came down to me and said, Edwards, there's no more flour left in Japan, so therefore there's no more little loaves, so you're going to be made a cook. The camp commandant has ordered that you be made a cook. Well, I said, sir, I can't cook. Well, he said, you're going to have to learn pretty quickly because the commandant has ordered it, and he said he's frightened that if he sends you down the mine, you might die. When the harvest comes in next year, he won't have a second baker. Well, that harvest never came. But so I had to become a soup cook. Now, the kitchen was blacked out because of the air raids. Bert Kelly he was a Welshman, he was the rice cook. I was the soup cook, and we had to cook a meal for 400 men at 0830 hours. At 0800 hours, Bert would have the rice cooked, had to be tipped out, weighed, then that amount divided by 400, and that was the amount that each man got, and was always weighed out to him. The soup was a different matter. Anyhow, the soup, all I had to do was I called it cabbage water. The cabbage was already cut up, and I had to put it into these qualies, they called them, like a big wok, about 30 gallons, I suppose. So we did this, I suppose, for probably 2 months. One day, I was standing in the darkened end of the room. At the other end of the room, there was a door either side, and Bert was standing between these two doors. The most beautiful white light seemed to come in the two doors, met Bert's body, flowed up his body, met the top of his head, and formed into a silver halo. Now, I thought we'd had a direct hit. I thought we were dead, because I'd always been taught as a child, when you see this beautiful white light, you're in heaven. And here I am, looking up at Bert with his halo, and he wasn't a very handsome man, but he looked beautiful. I thought he was an angel. I thought we were in heaven. Then I thought to myself, well, Bert's got his halo, I wondered did I get one? And then I thought, well, I wouldn't qualify for a halo, some of the things I'd done. Then I thought, now again, this thing about under extreme stress, everything seemed to happen in a few seconds. It seemed like an eternity. Then I thought,